Hello, and thank you all once again for joining me, yours truly, Daniel Jones, lead educator and headmaster of AZ Magic School, located online at www.azmagicschool.com. Magic is spelled with a C and a K. Now, today, I'd like to thank you all and welcome you once again to another fun-filled lesson brought to you by me, yours truly. And our lesson is Care of Magical Creatures. Now, the required course material for this class is going to be the Element Encyclopedia of Magical Creatures, the ultimate A to Z of fantastic beings from myth and magic. Again, this book is by John and Caitlin Matthews, published through Barnes & Noble. It can be bought online through Amazon.com as well as through eBay.com. Now, to save time, I'd like to go ahead and jump right into the lesson today. I know you all have lives and I know you all have things to do, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Once again, thank you very much for joining me. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read together, and forgive me, my book's a little hashed, but we're going to read together the foreword from the Element Encyclopedia of Magical Creatures by John and Caitlin Matthews. Now, let's begin. Forward, the city of gargoyles. We live in a city of gargoyles and fabulous beasts, extraordinary creatures of all kinds, cavort, peer, and grapple on most of the walls wherever we walk around Oxford. We are daily familiar with the griffin, the cockatrice, the winged lion, and many other magical creatures who guard the buildings of our city. When we began this book, we were explorers who had yet to see their first phoenix, but we were astonished at the abundance of magical creatures and the worldwide similarities in the stories and themes that make animals and other beings kin to us all. We did not take a microscope or any dissecting tools with us, nor did we wear the skeptic's sharp-angled spectacles that make all objects under observation appear warped and foolish. Indeed, we did not start out to set ourselves up as any kind of experts. It has been love of all living things that has kept us on the road and helped us travel safely on the compass point pathways that lead from north to south and from east to west. Some creatures showed themselves to us very generously, others were shy and retiring, and so we had to listen to what other people had reported about them. We hope that such second-hand sources do not amount to idle or damaging gossip, and that the creatures in question may retain their secret habitat, free from outside molestation. Now, it says molestation, I added outside. As you set out in these pages, we urge you to wander at will, rather than to read from A to Z, which, incidentally, wandering at will is really probably what we're going to be doing for this particular class, since we'll be covering particular mythical beasts in question over a set period of time. So just bear that in mind and bear with your educator, which may be me, as we work through the class. Now, the magical creatures themselves will lead you to find the hidden country that is your unique imagination. We also believe that there are creatures that we have not described because they have yet to come into being. As long as the land of imagination is allowed to remain with such a rich source of fodder, extinction is not an option. Of course, no book of this extent could be done without, the help of all the students of mythical creatures who have gone before. We would like to acknowledge those who made our own researches easier, especially Jan Knappert. Knappert is spelled Knappert, Carol Rose, and J.C. Cooper. J.C. is J.C. whose wonderfully rich works inspired us to hunt still further. Thanks also go to Emrys Matthews. Emrys is spelled E-M-R-Y-S. For help with the appearance of various creatures, especially the vampire, werewolf, and zombie, in the media, where so many of these have found a new home. End forward. John and Caitlin Matthews, Oxford, 10 March 2005. Okay, now that we're done with that bit, real quick, I'd like to discuss, I'll pick off the top of my head, 3 of the most common types of magical creatures one might encounter, given proof that these types of creatures could actually exist. And loosely, I'll say 3 to 5, just to be careful. Now, first, we will discuss the ones listed in the foreword. The phoenix, the vampire, the werewolf, and the zombie. So, we'll go with 4. Okay. Now, the phoenix bird is riddled with mystery in myth and magical legend. It is reborn from its own ashes after it explodes into fire and dies at the end of its life cycle. At the end of its life cycle, again, it is reborn from its own ashes into the form of a hatchling and then grows up once again. It has many magical traits. In J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, the phoenix tail feather is taken and used twice in 2 different instances as the core of a magical wand. Also, in certain areas of mythical lore, the tears are said to have healing powers. Now, this is also something that is covered in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. However, I have heard this fact, or belief of fact, in other places concerning the mythical lore of the magical phoenix bird. Now, vampires. Vampires are so complicated, I don't even want to begin to discuss them in depth here. We will cover them more throughout this course, as will the 3 other creatures mentioned in the foreword here, and several other mythical beasts that are common to the everyday belief system of magic, or Wicca, or witchcraft, or voodoo, or the occult, or the craft. Period. Vampires drain your blood, hypnotize you, have sex with you, turn you into one of them, kill you by draining your blood, live without hearts, can be killed by stakes, are repelled with esoteric religious symbols such as Judeo-Christian crosses and the like, and as well can possibly be affected by substances like garlic, silver, and other. Now, again, I don't even want to get into the complications of vampires and how much myth and lore is behind them. I promise you all, we will cover creatures like that later in the actual course, as we get beyond the introductory lesson here in the first video lesson of Care of Magical Creatures class at AZ Magic School Online. Now, the werewolf is just like the vampire. If it bites you or scratches you, it's said to be able to inject you with its werewolf venom and turn you into one of its kind. Now, there are repellents known in the world of magic more specifically herbology and potion making, that may be able to help rid or ward off against werewolves in your immediate operating area. One of the most famous goes by its name, and it has 3. Again, J.K. Rowling did us a favor, and in the first movie that she created, or book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling, she did make known, by means of the potions master, Professor Snape, that monkshood, also more commonly known as wolfsbane, go by the name of aconite. Now, all 3 of these substances are in lesser or greater forms of each other, not really knowing what the original is. Supposedly could be aconite. However, they are all said, they are all, the all that is one, are said to be able to help rid your area, living, working, etc., or ward off against, in your area, living, working, etc., werewolves, or werewolf/wolf/man-wolf/Anglo-Saxon definition, man-wolf, werewolf, man, werewolves. Sorry for that tangent, but felt the need. So yeah, wolfsbane, also known as monkshood, also known as aconite, ground up, leafed, crushed, spread out in a circle around your immediate working area, including magic circles and altar areas, are supposed to help prevent or ward off interactions with werewolves. Now, last but not least, real quick, before we go into what's required for the rest of this lesson and the homework, I'd like to cover zombies. Now, in the last 50 years or so, many television shows have tried to portray what a zombie could be like if it had actually existed. I believe the closest thing that we can relate to what a zombie would really be is what happens when these crazy people take bath salts and overdose. They eat people's faces off. They eat animals' faces off. They attack other people while naked in public with no normal thought of the consequences to their actions. Again, the substance that they take an overdose on is bath salts, which is a Chinese, Korean, Asian, Hindu, African, Indian, sorry for being racist, can't keep track of them all, creation that has been imported into America, and it is being fed into our everyday society without repercussion, without accountability, without realization of what the actual side effects are of these drug combinations. Foreigners from outside of this country are feeding bath salts into our society, and people are ingesting them, and they are going insane, and they are losing the primary functions of their frontal and topmost cortexes, and their reptilian brain in the back side of their head is kicking in for some reason, because it shuts out all normal function of all the rest of your brain, including the pineal gland. It shuts down the pineal gland completely as well, which helps regulate normal chemical flow through the body. And then you go into a zombie-esque or zombie-like state, at which point people have been known to eat the faces off of and then be killed because of murdering other people. They've also been known to eat the faces off of their animals, which causes the animal to incidentally perish. And they are known for running naked through the streets of our states here in America. Excuse me. After ingesting bath salts and then going crazy, and when they're pursued by the police and attempted to be caught and captured and detained and re-civilized after coming down off this substance, they attack the police and they wind up dead, the people in question, because the police have no choice but to defend themselves. Now, excuse me, again, sorry about that, everybody. A little bit of a dry throat. Moving on from that discussion, what I want you all to do is I want you to each pick one of the magical creatures out of the group that we previously discussed through the lesson that you like or are most interested in, and it will be discussed for this lesson's homework. Now, let me go over that again. I want you all to pick a magical creature out of the group of 4 that we discussed just now that you like or are most interested to know more about. And it will be discussed through your lesson homework for the first Care of Magical Creatures class lesson homework here at AZ Magic School. Okay, moving on. To wrap this lesson up, let's go over the homework real quick. There are 2 parts. Part 1, each student, all of you, love you all, is to do a full analysis report on the magical creature that you chose from the day's lesson. It is to be submitted before the airing of the next video lesson for Care of Magical Creatures class here at azmagicschool.com. Now, if you go into the intermediate classes section at azmagicschool.com, you will find the area where you can submit the required course material or coursework for this particular lesson, as well as for part 2 of this homework, which is one 3 to 5 paragraph essay about any magical creatures you might have seen throughout your life. Now, that ranges from J.K. Rowling's Blast-Ended Scroot, which should be completely mythical, to a real-life, fully grown elf. Pixie, fairy, actual witch, because we are magical creatures, etc. Any magical creature you might have seen throughout your life, you can do a 3 to 5 paragraph essay about. The allotted section to submit the copy and pasted material as well for the first part of this class's homework will be located in the intermediate class section under the Care of Magical Creatures class area lesson work. Alright, so that concludes the first official Care of Magical Creatures 1 class lesson brought to you by yours truly, Daniel Jones, lead educator and headmaster here at azmagicschool.com. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm sorry for the slight interruptions. And again, bear with me and be patient because more lessons and more lesson videos and coursework, as well as website content and other available information will be coming soon to azmagicschool.com, which was formerly magicschool2012.com. Thank you all, and as usual, blessed be, and have a wonderful day.